Hi there, thank you so much for joining me today. This video is my top 5 bottom 5 makeup empties of 2020. I saw Panning and Stuff do this video a while ago. She does it every year, and I started doing it because in 2017 I did a year-long no-buy, and so I couldn't do like a favorites video, favorite products that I bought that year because I didn't purchase any makeup for that entire year. So I decided to do a favorites and least favorites video out of my empties. I'll have all of Panning and Stuff's video like this linked in the description box. Some other people do it too. I think I just saw Dylan from Outward Processing do a version of this, so I'll try to link as many versions of this video as I can down below, but I do think it was created by Panning and Stuff. This is also a little bit of a teaser video. I will have my entire 2020 makeup empties video going up tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. And also keep in mind that this video is a little bit skewed because I don't hate pan. I don't use up a makeup product because I feel like I have to. If it's not something I enjoy, if it's something I really don't love using, then I do declutter it or try to pass it on if it's in good enough condition. So my 5 bottom products that I used up this year are still products that I liked enough to use all the way through, so they're not like my least favorite products of the year. Let's start with the bottom 5, and that way I can end on a happier note. I'm going to talk about 3 products that were just underwhelming. They were just okay, but not things that I would buy again. And then I do have one product that I really didn't enjoy. It was a travel size product, so by the time I had used it enough to realize I couldn't make it work, it was almost finished anyway. So one product that I really just didn't feel like was super necessary and it was kind of underwhelming was the e.l.f. Oil Control Mist. This was supposed to be kind of like a primer mist that would keep me from getting oily throughout the day. I really don't feel like it did much. The sun is coming out. I do find in general for me, I do have to use multiple oil controlling products to really see a difference in that. I have yet to find one product that will really keep my oils at bay all throughout the day. And I wouldn't even consider myself a super oily person, so I just didn't think that this was worth it. I remember, I think it was Andrea Mattiano talk about this. It really works well for her, so I think it might just have to do with skin types and preferences in general. Okay, the sun ended up coming out all of a sudden and creating these really weird lines on my face, so I did shut the blinds, and so I might be a little bit in less light than I was before, but that's fine. I feel like you can still see me. As I was saying, even though it is an e.l.f. product, I really didn't feel like it was a very affordable product. It was only an ounce, maybe just a little bit over an ounce, and it was $8 full price. And so if you were to put that on the same level as Urban Decay, you get a 4-ounce bottle of setting spray for $32. That still comes out to $8 an ounce. So it's not like you're getting a bargain by buying the e.l.f. one. Either way, I just wasn't impressed, and it's not something I would recommend or purchase again. Another e.l.f. product is in my bottom 5, and I don't have any in my top 5. I don't think that's an indicator of the brand as a whole. I do have a lot of things from that brand I really like. That's the e.l.f. Flawless Finish Foundation. I know so many people where that is their favorite foundation. They just love it, and I just don't think it's enough coverage for me. So the one I used in order to finish it, I mixed it with other higher coverage foundations, kind of as a color corrector to make it a little bit more close matching to me. And I do that with a lot of foundations, so it totally fit into my makeup routine in that way. But once I finish it up, it's not something that I felt a compulsion to purchase again. It was just underwhelming. I prefer higher coverage foundations, and for that reason, it just wasn't my favorite. The third product in my bottom 5 is from Pure Cosmetics. It's a limited edition product that's not available anymore, and it was the Glow Together bronzer. I had already hit pan on it, I think at the beginning of the year, and I decided to finish it. It's a very, very soft formula, very crumbly, and so even when I tried to be very gentle and use really soft brushes and very little pressure, I still feel like I got so much on my brush. And if I wasn't super careful, it would just go overboard and be way too much, and I'd have to go back in and blend because it would sometimes deposit way too much product in certain parts. It wasn't even that deep of a bronzer. I wasn't working with a shade that was too dark for me, and still I had to just be so careful not to overdo it, which I do have a bit more of a heavy hand when it comes to bronzer, so that wasn't a good match for me. Another product that underwhelmed me was the Hourglass Veil Translucent Powder. I was expecting such wonderful things from it. I hear people talk so highly about it, especially if you're the type of person who doesn't love a super powdery look on your skin. I was told it's not too heavy, it leaves a beautiful finish, etc, etc, and I just don't think it did that much that like super cheap, like the RCMA No Color Powder. I love that powder. This was $46 full price. I didn't like the packaging. Once I got to the end of it and I wanted to use the rest of it up, I had to like take apart the entire thing just to get the rest of the powder out. I didn't like that the lid wasn't just a regular lid. It had like a weird indentation in it, so I couldn't just dump powder in the lid to use. That's how I normally use powders. So I had to put it into a different container just to use it more easily. And the formula just didn't impress me. I just don't feel like it did a lot. And even though it is a setting powder, I think it worked better as a finishing powder. Those are two different things. I prefer setting powders. I like to set down my foundation and concealer and cream products before I put my powder products on top. It worked fine. It wasn't horrible. Like, it didn't make my skin look disgusting, but it also just didn't do much for me. I think I'm just very accustomed to those very fine HD types of powders that are like white and they are very thin and velvety and soft, and I can use a lot of it, and once I use my setting spray it kind of all disappears and does what I want it to do without looking super powdery on my skin. So the Hourglass one was just okay for me. I think that's, again, a preference thing. Some people love that powder and it works amazingly with their skin, and I just think that it's not for me. And my last one was one that I legitimately did not like. I did mention in the beginning I don't hate pan products. If it really doesn't work for me, if it really makes my makeup look worse, then obviously I'm not going to use it all the way to the end. But it was a mini version, and by the time I had used it consistently enough to realize that it wasn't good, it was like already finished. And that's the Becca Evermatte Poreless Primer. This was disgusting. I talked about this a lot in the Empties video where I had finished it and showed it in that video. This was the worst primer I had ever used. I would put my makeup on and I'd be like, wow, I look gross. My face looks gross. Like, it just made anything that went on top of it patchy. It would ball up even if I tried to be really careful with it. It was just thick. It just made me look like I was wearing a lot of cakey makeup on my face. I don't even know if it kept me from getting oily throughout the day, because I wouldn't want to keep it on my skin for long enough for me to know that. I just did not like it. I would use a lot of it. I would try using a tiny bit of it. I would try using it with different applicators. I would try using it with my fingers. I would try just using it in certain spots. Nothing worked. Nothing made it look good. This was easily the worst product I used all of 2020. Okay, now let's move on to my top 5 products. A lot of these are products that I would buy again, or I have gone through multiples of them. The first one is a lip product from NYX. It's the Slide On Glide On Lip Liner in the shade Sugar Glass. I have gone through Nude Suede Shoes and purchased another one of that, and I do really love that too, but Sugar Glass I used up this year and I really missed it, and I bought another one because I did miss it. It just has a really beautiful like warm brown undertone, more so than like a pinky nude like Nude Suede Shoes, and I have been using a lot more like peachy products, more brownie reds and stuff, and I find that Sugar Glass is a great way to start my lip look with that. I do like to line my lips before putting on lip products. My top lip is a little asymmetrical, and so I like to use lip liners to correct that and just, you know, make my lips look a little bit fuller whenever I put on lip products. And so I do really like lip liners. They're not everybody's thing, but I do like them. And I have purchased another one of Sugar Glass. I thought it was a beautiful color, especially for a lot of the lip products that I wore this year. Another one of my favorites is one that I think I've already brought up twice in this video. That's the RCMA No Color Powder. I will definitely be purchasing another one of those again once I use up some of the other powders in my collection. Even though I do really love the RCMA one, I like to try other formulas just to see if there are other things out there I like. I like to change it up every once in a while, even if I have found my ultimate favorite powder. The RCMA one is great for me. It's a translucent powder. It's very thin and velvety, and it works for exactly what I want it to do, which is to create a smoother surface for me to put my powder products on top of. So it's kind of like a barrier between my cream products and my powder products. I find when I use a setting spray, then you can't even tell that I'm wearing a ton of powder on my face. I can use a lot of it. I can use a little. I can use it to set my under eyes. I just really like it. It's very affordable. You get a ton of product. I think you get like 3 ounces of product for under $20. The packaging isn't great, I'll give you that. It can be very messy, so I do put it in another container to use it, but it's really not that big of a deal. I like the product enough to look past that. Another powder I really liked, this was a great year for powders, was the Urban Decay Velvetizer powder. It's very similar to the RCMA one. I like it for all of the same reasons. I don't think that Urban Decay makes it anymore, and it is more expensive than the RCMA. So I would choose the RCMA one over the Urban Decay one, but I thought it was really nice. I I really enjoyed using it and I thought it was a great powder, and I'm hoping that they don't discontinue it. The shadows aren't as bad, so I did take my curtain back up. A lot of different lighting changes in this video. I'm hoping one of them looks good. The next product I want to talk about is from Jouer. It's their foundation. I think it's the Essential Coverage Foundation. I love that they have, I think, 50 shades. I love that it's very high coverage, and I love that they have a lighter shade with an olive undertone. I really enjoyed it. It was a fantastic mixer. I could add a little bit of it to fix the shade of other foundations and add a little bit more coverage, and I just really enjoyed it. It's not something I would wear on its own that much because it is very full coverage, but it was kind of like mixing drops in a way that I would make work with other foundations so that I could use all of my foundations and it would be fine. It also looked fantastic on camera, and in general I just really liked this product and it is something I will consider purchasing again. I'm really sorry, the sun is just being so unpredictable right now. Hopefully it doesn't look too drastic of a change on camera. The very last one is a mascara, and it's a high-end mascara, which I typically don't prefer to purchase. I like buying more affordable ones because it is something I go through pretty regularly, and that's the Tardis mascara. I love the brush on this. It is a plastic brush, a little bit more spiky than I would think I would like, but I just really like how it is able to get in there and really comb through each lash and coat each of them. It builds really nicely on itself. It's really easy to remove at the end of the day. It's not one of those more stubborn formulas. I don't have any trouble with flaking. It gives me the volume that I want. I wouldn't say it's the most lengthening mascara out there, but that's fine with me. I like the formula. I like that you can purchase a mini version of it so you don't have to spend 20 something on the full size if you don't want to. And overall, out of the mascaras that I tried this year, I would say that that was my favorite one. I really enjoyed it. So those are my top 5, bottom 5 makeup empties of the year. Let me know if any of these were a surprise to you or if you kind of expected them given the reviews that I gave them in my regular empties videos. And of course, let me know if you had any products that you used up this year that you loved and recommend, or ones that you didn't like at all that were just horrible. But in the meantime, that's everything I have. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys.